Have you ever been treated unfairly? Maybe a coworker took credit for your work, a friend betrayed your trust, or someone you love just lashed out at you for no reason. It stings, right? It feels like a personal attack, a deep injustice. Your first instinct is probably to get angry, to fight back, to demand an apology, or to just retreat and simmer in resentment. We all do it. But what if I told you that most of us are handling it all wrong? What if the key to not just surviving but thriving after unfair treatment lies in a 2,000-year-old philosophy? Today, we're diving deep into the Stoic playbook for when life throws you a curveball of injustice. And trust me, these aren't your typical just be positive cliches. We're going beyond Marcus Aurelius's famous quotes and into the practical, sometimes brutally honest, strategies that the Stoics use to build unbreakable inner peace. This is about reclaiming your power when you feel most powerless. So, the first and most fundamental Stoic rule, when treated unfairly, is to perform what I call an emotional triage. Imagine you're an emergency room doctor. A patient comes in. The first thing you do isn't to blame the person who caused the injury. It's to assess and stabilize the patient. You need to do the same for your own mind. When someone treats you unfairly, your emotions are the immediate wound. Your anger, your hurt, your frustration. These are the primary injuries. The Stoics would say that the event itself is neutral, the coworker taking credit, the friend's betrayal. These are external facts. It's our judgment, our interpretation of these facts that creates the suffering, Epictetus said. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. So, the first step is to separate the external event from your internal reaction. Acknowledge your feelings without letting them take over. Say to yourself, okay, I feel angry. I feel hurt. This is a natural reaction. But then, create a tiny bit of space and ask, is this anger serving me right now? Is this resentment helping me solve the problem? Or is it just causing me more pain? This isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about observing them from a distance, so you can decide how to respond instead of just reacting blindly. Once you've done that emotional triage, we move to the second, and perhaps most counterintuitive, Stoic rule. Investigate the source with compassion, not contempt. This is where most people get it wrong. Our default is to see the person who wronged us as a villain, as a malicious enemy. But the Stoics had a radically different perspective. They believe that no one does wrong willingly. When people act unfairly, it's not because they are inherently evil, but because they are ignorant of what is good and right. Think about it. The coworker who stole your credit might be desperate for a promotion because of immense pressure at home. The friend who betrayed you might be acting out of deep-seated insecurity or fear. This doesn't excuse their behavior. It absolutely does not. But it reframes it. Marcus Aurelius would wake up each morning and remind himself that he would meet people who were meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, and dishonest. But he would follow this by saying they are this way because they cannot tell good from evil. By trying to understand their ignorance, their fear, or their flawed reasoning, you're not forgiving them for their sake. You are doing it for your sake. You are dissolving the personal nature of the attack. It's no longer about you. It's about their own internal struggles, their own lack of wisdom. This shifts you from the position of a victim to the position of an observer, a psychologist even. You can look at their behavior and think, how unfortunate to be so ruled by fear or ego that you must act this way. This perspective is a superpower. It strips their actions of the power to wound you personally. Now, let's get even more practical. Rule number 3 is to focus on your sphere of control and take virtuous action. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. There are things you can control and things you can't. You can't control other people's actions, their opinions, or their decisions. Trying to is a recipe for frustration. What can you control? Your own thoughts, your judgments, and your actions. So, when treated unfairly, instead of obsessing over what they did, pivot your focus entirely. Ask yourself, given this situation, what is the most virtuous, rational, and constructive thing I can do right now? Maybe it's documenting the incident with your boss, calmly and professionally. Maybe it's having a direct, honest conversation with the person, not to accuse, but to state the facts and express how it impacted you. Or maybe In some cases, the most virtuous action is to walk away, to remove that person from your life, creating a boundary to protect your own tranquility. The key here is that your action is not for revenge. It's not to win. It's to act in accordance with your own values, with courage, justice, and wisdom. Seneca wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike the one who performed the injury. If they were dishonest, you be honest. If they were cruel, you be fair. When you do this, you're not just responding to the situation. You're actively building your own character. You're using their unfairness as a whetstone to sharpen your own virtue. You're turning poison into medicine. The fourth rule is a powerful mental exercise. Practice negative visualization, but with a twist. We've all heard of negative visualization. Imagine losing the things we value to appreciate them more. But we can apply it to social interactions. Imagine the worst-case scenario. The person never apologizes. They double down. They convince others. You're the bad guy. Your reputation takes a hit. Now, sit with that, really feel it for a moment. Then, realize that even if all of that happens, you still have control over your response. You can still choose to act with integrity. You can still find peace within yourself. You can still rely on your true friends. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. By mentally preparing for the worst, you rob it of its power to shock and destabilize you. You've already visited that dark place in your mind, and you've seen that you can survive it. When the unfair treatment actually happens, it will feel less like a catastrophe and more like a scenario you've already rehearsed. It takes the emotional charge out of the situation. You're no longer reacting with panic. You're executing a plan. It's like a fire drill for the soul. You hope the fire never comes. But if it does, you know exactly where the exits are. Your inner citadel remains untouched because you've already reinforced its walls. Finally, the fifth and most transformative Stoic rule is to view the injustice as training. The Stoics believe the universe, or fate, or whatever you want to call it, is constantly testing us, not to break us, but to make us stronger. Every challenge is an opportunity. Epictetus, who was born a slave and was lame, is the ultimate example. He saw his immense hardships as training for his philosophy. So when someone treats you unfairly, try this reframe. This is the universe providing me with a sparring partner. This person, this situation, is here to train my patience, my compassion, my courage, and my resilience. A weightlifter doesn't get stronger by lifting air. They need the resistance of the weights. Unfair people are your psychological weights. They are opportunities to practice everything we've talked about. Emotional triage, compassionate investigation, virtuous action, and mental preparation. Without these challenges, your Stoic principles are just theories. Injustice is the gym where you get to put them into practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The unfair treatment is not an obstacle to your peace of mind. It is the very path to achieving it. It forces you to dig deeper, to rely on your inner resources, and to build a character that is truly unshakable. So the next time you are treated unfairly, pause. Don't just react. Remember these rules. Perform emotional triage. Investigate the source with compassion. Focus on your sphere of control. Prepare for the worst, and above all, see it as the training you need to become the strongest, most resilient version of yourself. You can't control what others do, but you have absolute power over how you respond, and in that response lies your freedom. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on building a resilient mind. Let me know in the comments which of these rules you're going to try first. See you next time.